Hey everyone, welcome back to Your Black News. I'm super duper excited as we transition from Black History Month, or I like to refer to as Black Future Month, into Women's History Month. I'm super excited to talk to someone that I admire from afar. I remember her first radio interview when I first heard her. I want to say it was on Hot 97, but it probably was on Breakfast Club. I'm not sure which one. But as a New Yorker, or former New Yorker, I was like, yo, this is dope. Oh my God, this is great. Dr. Gina Page, CEO, founder of AfricanAncestry.com. Um, I admire any person that has a company that has to help our community navigate medical or human data. And I just can't imagine, you know, how you came up with the concept and what led you to say, I'm going to create this 20 years ago.
So, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. And so it's not my concept. I have to say, I co-founded AfricanAncestry.com with a Black geneticist, Dr. Rick Kittles. And it really is the outcome of him wanting to know where he was from. He's a geneticist, as I said, and was fascinated by differences. And he also was always curious as a young person about where he came from. And so fast forward to him being at Howard University at the National Genome Center, and he was on the team from Howard that came up to New York in the late 90s when they had unearthed that federal building. I'm sorry, they had unearthed the New York, what is now the New York African Burial Ground.
Yes.
And they were excavating the land to build a federal building. And so his job was to identify the ancestry of the bones in the graveyard. And when the community found out that that was possible, they felt like, well, if you can do it for bones, you should be able to do it for me, and inundated Howard's switchboard trying to get to Dr. Kittle. So I like to say that this is a clear case of supply and demand. The community demanded to know where they were from in Africa before the slave trade. And so Dr. Kittles and I collaborated, and I commercialized his research to make it possible for everyone to know.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Gonna take a moment to introduce our second guest,
Sure.
A mutual friend of both of ours, Miss Cherise. And Cherise, can you introduce yourself? I'm gonna go off camera for 1 second and let everybody know about this company that you also created.
Sure. Hi, Gina. So good to see your face. Love you, friend. Hey. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Cherise, and I go by Cherise P online. Cherise P 1908 is where you can find me. I am really, I guess, a product of the music industry and marketing world. I grew up in the music industry. My dad was a drummer for a group called the Isley Brothers, and I grew up backstage with him. And then also his sister, my aunt, was one of the early, or I guess original members of P-Funk, George Clinton's Parliament Funkadelic. So between the two of them and I guess grandparents who were deep in the clergy, and an uncle who's the first Black Navy SEAL, like all of that whole hodgepodge, I kind of was thankful and blessed to work and grow up around, I guess, a lot of luminaries, which made me believe that absolutely everything is possible. I can move that back, Martin, if you want. But that everything is possible. All the folks that I just mentioned grew up in a time of, except my dad, of Jim Crow, and they like reached amazing heights. After that, after growing up with those amazing people around me, I was blessed to get a marketing degree from the Standard of Excellence, Hampton University, and went on to work in the fashion industry way back in the day when urban fashion was just kind of starting. I worked with like Rough Rider, Dirty Denim, DMX's clothing line, Swiss and the others might have an issue with that, but a clothing line that was, you know, known for all of the amazing Rough Riders, including Eve. And then went on to work at Coca-Cola, where I was blessed and fortunate to work in a lot of things, including partnership marketing. I led a ton of national marketing campaigns, including campaigns that touch music, like a campaign for like Coke and a few campaigns for Coca-Cola and the American Music Awards and different like restaurant partners or things like that. Also campaigns for different partners of ours, including Sprite or like the Sprite twist the cap, like where you get code for Spotify. I remember when we were talking about doing this campaign, this little company called Spotify, and we were like, and so I was fortunate to work on some marketing and campaigning and partnership marketing for things like that when it was early out. And I went on to lead 1/3 of shopper marketing initiatives for the entire continent at Coke, which from my particular role, out the company's strategy for doing marketing on something like this, mobile ordering. I started a company when smartphones weren't smart, when phones weren't smart. And so then we got smartphones and people started to do ordering online on their phones. The strategy needed to be written for that and try often first with everything. So it's been a blessing to me, and now I'm able to take the company's strategy for mobile ordering and that partnership marketing and being able to bring it back to the industry. I grew up in the music industry. Now fortunate to be a mentor for Grammy U. I love helping young people. My kids are #1 best-selling authors of a really positive book. I shut them out at Kids Mike, so check them out if you want positive media. You know, that I love that. I love doing even partnership marketing here. Thank you so much for the amazing, generous that you gave to artists I love and here as family. The helping him and his fans learn their tribe history, and you all are just awesome. So thank you.
Go ahead, Gina. What are you gonna say? Oh no, I thought you were gonna say something. Cherise, unfortunately, you're breaking up really badly. But
and celebrate.
She can't even hear me. I'm just gonna mute her for a minute. Let's see if we can. I'm gonna let probably, you know, today is a bad storm day for America. We have 11 states that are facing some kind of what do you call it, a thunderstorm or bad storm. So I know I've been getting 2 bars down here in Louisiana. I don't know how you've been, where you at, Dr. Page, but Cherise is a great friend of ours, and the reason we even come together because I had no, like, you know, I've seen your work and I'm like, she's just too busy. I'm not gonna even approach her. I'm just like she's just doing too many things. So, but as Cherise was saying, the consummate marketer that Cherise was able to bring us together, and love what Cherise does with her children, and as on the Anthony Hamilton team heading up his marketing. We're going to get to that project that you both were able to collaborate on, and that is African Ancestry and Anthony Hamilton. But before we go there, I wanted to also unpack how AfricanAncestry.com is completely different than the competitors.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what we are. So we are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people around the world. And we exist to help Black people transform the way we view ourselves and the way we view Africa. And we've chosen to do that through DNA. And so we use a person's DNA to tell them which present day African country and ethnic group they share ancestry with. In effect, we're placing their ancestry on the continent in a specific place among a specific group of people 500 to 2,000 years ago. So that's what we do. We answer the question, where were my people before slavery? And so that in and of itself makes us different than the other companies out there today. We existed before all of them, with the exception of one, Family Tree DNA. I will say that one. They were in business before us, but there were no others in business when we started. We're the only company that can give specificity when it comes to Africa. We're not going to tell you you're some percentage African, you're some percentage from all these regions of Africa, thus making you African. We don't do that. We don't have to do that because we have the largest database of African lineages in the world or in the industry. And so that extensive compilation of data enables us to be very specific when it comes to a person's ancestry. Another way that we're different is we don't sell or share our customers' DNA. We do not monetize our customers' DNA. The lab we use destroys all of the genetic material once a result is determined. And then the final way, besides us being Black owned, right, that's a big one. Besides us using Black suppliers and vendors as much as we possibly can, besides us having the only Black scientists analyzing genetic information in the industry, we look at one branch of your family tree. So it's quite like genealogy, Martin. When you do genealogy research, let's just say you are going to a family reunion. Right. And so you're usually celebrating your grandmother or maybe your grandmother and your grandfather. And then you do these family trees. You see everybody who comes from your grandmother, right? And so we do that with DNA. We look at one branch of the tree, and then we can tell you where your great, 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 great grandmother, for example, where her ancestry was. And when we do that, the result is the same for everybody in the family who descends from that woman, which is a lot of people. Unlike the other companies, they look at your entire genetic family tree and give you these percentages, these general percentages. And so you can't share your results with other family members. Everyone in the family would have to take one of their tests and everyone in the family would get a different result. So those are the ways that we're different.
Well, I do have a question from the audience. Okay. I think it aligns to what you just asked, what you just talked about. The question is from Josetta. How does African Ancestry deal with law enforcement requests?
So we've never gotten a law enforcement request.
And we want to keep it that way.
Right. And we wouldn't have the genetic information to share.
Anyway, right. Because you destroy it.
Right. And the part that we do look at, Martin, is only informative for ancestry. It's not informative for family relationships. So that's another way we're different.
So that's all familiar? Is not familiar?
Right.
Like, is that the term? I don't know if that's the right term. I'm just, watching CSI and seeing the word familiar. DNA.
Right. Familial, exactly. Yeah. So that's another way that we're different. So we're not going to tell you who your family members are. We're not going to tell you your fifth and sixth cousin. We're also not going to tell you health traits. We are specifically in the industry right now of ancestry. And so the DNA that we look at cannot be used for any of those other things.
Nice. I think as I thought about, this industry and where it was at when you started and where it's at now, it feels like you guys really position yourself well. Did you see, when I say where you're at now versus where then, did you think about, where do you want to be at in 20 years as far as the industry? So to me, you're nice, well-positioned You're not too on the cutting edge, and at the same time, you're also not so far back you have to, retool or pivot.
Right. No, we did not think about where we wanted to be in the industry in 20 years. We didn't even think about it in 5 years, to be honest. And
Wow.
for real, there wasn't that much of an industry because there was just
right.
another company doing it. As we saw other companies enter the industry, we felt very good about what we were doing. And even today, we see other companies mimicking what we do or
trying to mimic it, trying. they trying.
And so, I do think that now, we're very clear about what kinds of directions we need to go in to be able to stay in line technologically with the genetics part of the industry. So we are definitely looking at that. But back then, no, we were just like hoping people would buy tests and hoping people wanted to know where they were from and trying to convince them. So this is an interesting thing. I have a marketing background, right? Product management, corporate, what do you call them? Fortune 500 companies kind of thing.
Yes.
And we have and still have, Martin, the craziest job in terms of selling our product. So first we have to convince you that you're from Africa. Then we have to convince you that that being from Africa is a good thing. Then we have to convince you that you should want to know where you're from in Africa, that there's a benefit to that.
Right.
Then we have to convince you that it's possible to use DNA to tell you that, to give you that answer.
Right.
And then we have to convince you to use our company to get the answer. Yeah. And to me, from a marketing standpoint, that is such a unthinkable selling cycle, because there's still in 2023 people who say, I'm not from Africa. Now we don't waste our time, so to speak, on those people.
Correct.
But the point still stands that you have the whole gamut of people. Black folks.
And it would seem like it would be a no-brainer, right? But that speaks to a lot of what Dr. Joy
DeGruy.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Magruder. Because I was trying to remember which last name to use. I was like, wait. Talks about in her book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and we haven't necessarily, I think, as a community, really healed the way that we need to heal, and so we have a lot of, negativity we have to deal with. So it does feel like when you're talking about the the marketing cycle, it did feel like a heavy lift. I think that it is also at the same time, it's indicative of, where folks are going to go with AI and with the metaverse and other things. If you want to claim, that you are who you say you are, or what you identify as, right? I think that, in my head, you're well positioned because people are going to say, I'm Gambian, or I'm, Gabon, or, I'm from Madagascar, or whatever they're going to want to claim, because the Madagascar metaverse is going to be so cool. And just like Chat, GTP, designed a lot of work at OpenAI was done in Africa. So as Africa and African things become more on the same playing field, I can see, and even with football, meaning soccer and other things, I can see people virtually wanting to I'm from so-and-so, and it's like, yeah, but I have the receipts. I went to African Ancestry. I really am from there. Right. We have a question from LinkedIn, and it says they took the other people's test. I'm not gonna mention them. Does African Ancestry drill down further? Thank you for that question. And I think you're probably just joining us. So if you could just, in 30 seconds, just repeat what you said already.
So yes, we do drill down further. We look at one branch of your family tree and tell you the present day African country and ethnic group that you share ancestry with based on the world's largest database of indigenous African lineages. So our African lineage database is at least 11 times larger than the company that you used, which allows us to be much more specific. So basically, when you add up all the percentages, that company told you that you were West African. And you already know that from history. Like, that's the one thing we do know. Our test answers the question, who are the people that I share ancestry with? What are their values and traditions and cultural practices and beliefs? Where can I go and be able to talk to someone who shares the same ethnic group that I descend from?
Right. Wow. I do want to play. There was a this month you did a partnership with Anthony Hamilton, the musician, and want to play a clip from the live reveal. If I can get that going. Let's see. No, that's not the one. I want to go to present and share my screen. And I'm gonna go to.
And this is the partnership that we did, where we were able to come together, Martin, thanks to Sharice.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's up that. The only thing I gotta do with these technologies, boy, you gotta be careful. There's a little box. Okay, I'm sharing the audio. Okay.
Oh, the audio.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Share. Hopefully, let's see if people can hear it. We'll hear it. Okay.
Oh, I don't think that's the one. Oh, there you go.
That's not the one?
I think that's the announcement of it.
Oh, okay. Do you remember which? I know is it Africa? We're African Forever?
That's that's the lead up to it.
Okay. Let's see. And I don't even hear that. Oh, I have on mute as well.
Truly comes from. Join me in taking the African Ancestry test and unlock your power, the power of your lineage from Africa ever. There are so many tribes on science and excellence and power. Which one is yours? When you click this link on this page right here, you can find out exactly where you come from.
Okay, so now I'm trying to find the one. I don't remember.
Did they do? They might have done it as a story.
Oh, versus the real.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me see.
That's what we need, Sharice.
Right. That's what Sharice is supposed to be here. Yeah, I thought it was on the reels. I know I see this. Is this the one? Let me see. Like you said, maybe it is.
I think that's before.
Okay. And this is not.
We did it on January 20th.
Oh, you know what? No. You know what it is? It was on Facebook. Dang.
Ah, okay. Right. Oh, yeah. That's right. It was on Facebook.
I'm like, I'm so Instagram centric. Like, everything's on Instagram. It's entertainer. Everything's on Instagram. It's like, no, Negro. Stuff is on. So, anyway, Anthony Hamilton went to African Ancestry, and he got a test. And actually, wasn't his whole team that got a test?
Yeah. So we did a promotion with him where we encouraged his fans and followers and our followers to take a test and sort of go along the journey with him as he was waiting to receive his results, and to join us in a live reveal, during a live reveal. And then they also were entered to win a prize, some Anthony Hamilton swag. But anyway, we did this reveal with Anthony and his team, where they all learned their ancestry for the first time. And it was January 30th or 31st or something. So that helps you with the date.
Oh, really? Lord, it's been that long?
Mm-hmm.
This month has gone by super fast.
He and several of his team members, there it is.
Okay. Got it.
Took the test and got revealed.
Let's see. Give me a large screen. Okay, cool. And now
we are all here, and some of Anthony Hamilton's team. You'll get to know our names shortly. But I'm Sharice. I'm the marketing arm, and I'm so excited because we've done this amazing collaboration with the Dr. Gina Page, co-founder and president of African Ancestry. Dr. Page, thanks so much for jumping on with us. I will hand it off to you.
Well, thank you for having me. I am especially excited about today because doing reveals is the most fun part of what I do on a daily basis. Just as a sort of refresher for everybody, African Ancestry is a pioneer of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people all around the world. We're celebrating our 20th year this year. So Anthony will be our first reveal of our 20th year. Anthony and team, the whole crew, you all are our first reveal for the new year, and I'm very proud of that. So what we did as part of the Africa Forever Challenge is you all got African Ancestry matriclan test kits. The matriclan test, well, actually, wait a minute. I said you all, but everybody might not know who you all are. So maybe we should go around. I'm Gina. Who else is here? And Martin, I think the reveal part is towards the end if you were going to.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. You think it's 37 minutes, so you think it's like at the 30th or?
Yeah, I think it was just.
Right before this?
Let's see.
Let me see.
He's part of your group. He's part of your crew. Okay, so go back a little bit. We just did. Okay, yeah.
Hello, Joelle.
Amsterdam. You got cousins over in Amsterdam.
You said before this or two or
no? This is gonna be.
I've been there a few times, actually a lot, and I love it. I love Amsterdam.
That's the thing. I mean, now that you know where you're from, I think you're gonna start noticing Cameroon. Oh no, it's before this. Cameroon.
So
what year when it's P&I?
Yeah. So
that's considered the first disco song.
Yeah.
So go back a little bit more. Cameroonian artist.
I love it.
Go back a little bit more.
Okay.
Playing calling themselves Cameroonian American. Keep going. A little bit more. We said it a million times. I thought it was at the end.
Okay.
That impact. Patrilineal.
There we go.
And patrilineal.
Nice.
Patrilineal and patrilocal. So what that means is inheritance and descent happens through the father.
Oops.
But then the local part of it is that the children live in the father's compound. Another very interesting fact that I thought was related to you was, like much of Africa, they are farmers. However, they place a special value on sorghum.
Oh.
Yeah, she's into the cooking. So I'm going to let us.
That's really interesting because of the line of his food that he has out. Mm-hmm. That's really, really interesting. Yeah, I can't.
So we ended up sharing ancestry with 3 groups of people that live in northern Cameroon: the Massa people, the Mafa people, and the Kotoko people. And one of the things that I was able to share with him is that the first disco song is from a Cameroonian artist, Martin. So Manu Dibango did the song "So Makosa," Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kosa,
right.
And that was the first disco song, and it was a Cameroonian. So his musical roots run deep.
That is a beautiful thing. I mean, this is like phenomenal. I think it's definitely something that we should all do. And I think a lot of the things you brought up as the heavier lift when it comes to marketing and letting people know about. You find, I think you guys say it on your website, or I've seen it somewhere on your social media, you find your tribe.
Yeah. And,
that's the thing, finding your tribe, and speaking of finding our tribe, Miss Sharice is back. Hey, Miss Sharice.
Hey. Our cousin. Hey, Sharice.
Yes, our cousin.
okay. Sorry, I'm like not on camera.
Okay.
But yeah, thankful. So technical difficulties. Apparently there is a internet outage like for everywhere near my office. Thankfully I live near a Starbucks, but then I got to Starbucks and their internet is out. So
Right.
fun times, fun times, right?
Well,
we adapt.
Exactly, and we got crazy weather happening all across the United States, to the middle to the lower United States today. So that was also, I got 2 bars almost all day yesterday and today. So yeah, this is our new normal, to operate within the dysfunction of the earth, dysfunctioning. So, but Sharice, we were just showing Anthony Hamilton's reveal, and being that he's from Cameroon, and Gina was giving us some specificity around the Cameroonian experience and the song. I don't want to gloss over that. I think it's really important. Bring up about the song again.
Soul Makossa is the first disco song, and it was recorded by a Cameroonian artist, Manu Dibango,
Wow.
who is now an ancestor. But it was sampled by Michael Jackson, like so many artists, Rihanna, Diggy Simmons, you name it. And so that, it has Cameroonian roots.
I danced to that so much. I'm a child of the 70s, and we had the record player, and I definitely know we had the LP.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the first disco song. Wow. That's really interesting. And Anthony being, who he is.
Descending from those people. Martin, one thing I wanted to mention is that there she is. This is, of course, we're on the tail end of Black History Month. And you and everyone else probably knows that Black History Month was started as Negro History Week.
Yes.
By Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And so the organization that he founded, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, better known as ASALH, they create a Black History theme every year. And this year's theme is resistance, Black resistance. And it made me think that I wanted to make sure I share that tracing ancestry is an act of resistance. We were not supposed to get this information. We are not supposed to reconnect with Africa. The disconnection was intentional. The slave trade was a masterfully executed business system who
strategy
thrived on us being disconnected. But now there's a Black scientist who has made it possible for us to reconnect in a tangible way. We don't have to guess now. We don't have to just claim all of Africa. We can, but we don't have to. We can also know specifically where we're from. And can you imagine all the power that results from us connecting to Africa? It's incredible. And so we're very proud to be able to do this work. And that's one reason why people should take the test.
Absolutely. Sharice, I know you wanted to jump in.
So I guess I don't know. Was anything that I said before heard at all, or was it all bad?
I think up to you when you start talking about the kids music, kids mic. We kind of
broken up.
Yeah, it started. We didn't hear about the Grammy mentorship, and we didn't hear about anything else you were saying.
Okay. Well, just to add to what, hi everybody, hello again. Just not to be rude, I'm Sharice. But to add to what Gina was saying, she knows that I am a huge fan of this museum in Montgomery, Alabama, called the Legacy Museum, and it really does a great job of illuminating exactly what Gina was saying. Because when you go to the Legacy Museum, they really make it real. Like you come in and you were basically in a little bit of like the middle passage. Like you're surrounded by like digital water 360, and then you kind of walk through this bottom of the ocean, and then you get to basically the pens where they would hold families, the actual ones. That's where the ground that this place is built on is on slave prisons, and they have you basically feel and see what it was like for these children, mothers, husbands to be completely ripped apart from each other. And it just makes you understand how visceral the pain was. I think we know on a cognitive level, and especially people who are paying attention to Black history, we get it that it's horrible what happened and that it's evil. But I think it's a little bit different when you feel that disconnection and see exactly what was lost. And that's why I love what Gina and her partner are doing at African Ancestry in helping us reconnect and really recoup what was stolen from us, in a very cold, callous, harsh way. And I mean, I graduated from from a historically Black college, studied the slave trade and all that a lot, but it was really different to be in those pens and seeing and hearing like the sounds that they would have heard. And I just think we owe it to our ancestors who were strong enough and faithful enough, to not just survive for them, but also for us, and saying like you weren't like that their lineage wasn't going to end there, and to really try to understand who they were and identify the customs that they were practicing and that they were relying on and what they were looking to from strength. So many of the tribes in Africa, they don't all do the same things, but many of the customs have survived. And it just, I think we owe it to them to learn it. And when I asked him about doing the reveal and learning his tribe, he was like, yeah, we'll do it. You know, he was like really like, absolutely, you know. Did I break up again?
No, we heard you.
Okay. Martin,
you're on mute.
I'm muted now. It's like I was saying it was awesome, Sharice, and I was saying it was me that wasn't you. And the thing that you're talking about with the enthusiasm, both of you said something that was really powerful. I hadn't really considered, before either of you brought it up, about the cold calculating and at the same time intentional. This was very intentional. And I don't mean to laugh, that's the wrong emotion, but it's almost like, laughter before I cry, let me laugh. Plan that was executed masterfully. So to the point that Gina, when you weren't here, Gina was talking about the marketing cycle that she has the different obstacles or challenges that are in the way of marketing straight through that she has to overcome. It's still affecting us to this day. And so that's it's rivals any of the 100-year McDonald's plans or whatever else these brands have to be around for the next 200 years. The enslavement business model is still the way in which to break down that entity and us as products of that entity and being goods and services that business wanted to have. It's still affecting its descendants 400, 300, 200 years later.
Well, Martin, if I could add, the only way that slavery was going to work was if we didn't have our names, if we couldn't communicate to each other in our languages, if we were disconnected and it was against the law to honor our ancestors, to read and write, and then for our families to constantly be torn apart and sold apart. And all of those things contribute to your identity. And so when you don't have an identity, when you don't know where you're from and who you're a part of, then you don't have an identity. There's a huge void. You can't know who you are. And that's what we're suffering from.
Right.
Yep.
And the desire to imagine. I think you said something about resist. Did you say resistance?
Mm-hmm.
What was the word used about resistance?
Yeah, it's an act of resistance. Tracing ancestry is an act.
Thank you. Yes. And it's like us taking a rest or wanting to imagine and be creative. I fight that term a lot. My wife's always, "You're creative." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm just a strategist." She's like, "No, you're creative." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't create." And in this conversation, I'm really starting to think about this plan and how it is still. I'm affected by it. Hopefully, our children won't be. But like, it really doesn't lend Black folks the ability to want to create, dream, imagine. That is something that we just, you don't have time for that. It's just, so even that concept of what Sharice was saying when she went to Anthony and said, "Do you want to take the test?" He was like, "Yes, definitely." That power, it in being able to say, "Yeah, I want to connect. I want to look. I want to dream. I want to establish roots." And
one of the things he was really, and Sharice, you can keep me honest on this. One of the things that he was most interested in was the spiritual practices of the people. He asked that question several times. And we're going to Cameroon on March 11th, so I'm going to try and get him some real-time information while I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was important to him, the spiritual connection.
Yeah, my eyes are bugging out. Like, I didn't know you were going to Cameroon on March 11th. I wish you would have known, but I'm like, oh wait, dang. But yeah, he would love to have things from it. That would be fantastic. And Anthony is really serious. I will say that he takes spirituality seriously, and I even look at him. What did I call him? I think I said. One, I think that I look at him as a teacher and a healer. There are so many people who like meditate to his music, which I was surprised until we started digging in and talking to fans. Because before I knew him, I just looked at him more like R&B, But I've been fortunate to work with him for over half a decade now, and so that means I've gotten to talk to a lot of fans of his, and often they talk about how they were in a really hard time, and that his music was really instrumental in helping them get through a hard time, or get through depression, or even get through the ultimate darkest thoughts, and that they use his music to heal from it. And even I see how he handles people, and he really does have a very healing approach. And he does. Yeah, and whenever someone says, "Oh, I love your music," or "I love this about you," he immediately, I would say pretty much every time I can remember, his answer is, "Well, when you have a gift, when you're given a gift or the gift, meaning from God, you have to respect it, and you have to respect it and take care of it." Which is a great lesson for me, even in looking at my own purpose. Let me make sure I'm a great steward over what God has me here on earth to do. But all of that about him lines up 1,000,000%. Gina's 100% right. He asked a lot, what was their spiritual practice, and I think that knowing that Anthony does believe in God, when you were able to affirm their spiritual practices and the things that they tended to believe for the tribes that he shared DNA with, I think that was a great, not so much an affirmation, because he's pretty confident in a very nice and kind way, but I think it made sense, that matched for him. We would have to ask him specifically if that's what he felt, but I think it definitely lines up with what I know of him, that it made sense. It just matched 100%. And I think what you were saying about how we lost so much, I look at movies like the Black Panther movies, and I love that they exist and that we are excited about them as a people. But I also wish we would understand that we actually already have Africa. Wakanda is great, but Africa is real, and that there's these amazing things to identify with, and the way people hold their chests proud about this place, you know, in the movie. I saw recently at home, for Black History Month are showing we showed the kids intentional Black history every week, but we were more intentional to focus more in on Africa this month during Black History Month. And one of the specials we watched showed them, it just had a documentary in it, and it was sharing how iron was invented in Africa, like back in the 1550s, right? I think I'll make sure that that's the right answer. But our kids, even the one child who's not, about 5,000 BC, between 5,000 BC and 3,000 BC, and they just kind of went through these sculptures in Africa that were almost like little tchotchkes, but they had been done through ironwork, and it was very clear this was the first iteration of ironwork in the world history. And it was like, wow, Africa gave us iron. And we talked as a family about how that changed the entire world, how the world would just not be the same. You know, everything, skyscrapers, even the devices that we're talking on, you know, that changed everything for the modernization and the ability for the world to modernize. The Iron Age was really a gift from Africa to the entire world. And just after that, like for a while, our kids were like, yeah, you know, and then, you know, like because Africa like gave everybody iron, you know, like because iron in Africa.
Yeah.
So I think if we could, as a people and as the whole world, really embrace and love the things that are real that came from Africa, then it's also going to fuel this drive to know more of what parts of Africa we all have in us. Because even I think some people who are not so much African American may still have some Black lineage that they may stick their chest out more about and hold their head higher and saying, yeah, I think that we need to honor and respect the gifts that Africa has given to us. But even as a community, if we could dig into the things that we do have that show us how Africa is awesome, then it, I think, can help us hold our heads higher. Like I love that the Woman King came right around Black Panther.
Right.
There's this real story to hold on to. So.
No, that's you said a sermon. That's
Sorry for going so long.
No, not the length, but just the meat of the material. That's what I meant by sermon. But you can go long. I think it's really a powerful point and poignant. Want to give space for Dr. Page to take us out. And Dr. Page, what are some things we can do to support African ancestry?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. So you can support us by following us engaging with us on social media. Every Wednesday, we do a live broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, where we have conversations with the African diaspora about topics that impact us. We're kicking off. We just kicked off our world tour, our 2023 world tour. So we'll be traveling to 16 cities in 8 countries on 4 continents this year. Our next road tour or world tour stop is in Oakland, California. So we'll be going to Oakland in April. We'll be coming down to Charlotte. We'll be in Chicago. We'll be in Atlanta. We'll be in Houston. We'll be in Brooklyn. We'll be in Colombia, South America. We'll be in London, in the UK. So if you join our text list or our email list, you'll get that information about where we'll be. And then the other thing is to take the test. Take the test and then teach your family, teach your kids about the importance of knowing where you're from and also about where you are from, and spread the word, because the whole point is to connect the diaspora, to connect Africa and the diaspora. Right. And we are fortunate enough to be living in the United States, where there are huge African populations for us to connect with, even in the cities we live in today. We have African Ancestry family reunions, so you can travel with us. Like I told Sharice, we're going to Cameroon in March. That one's been sold out for a while, but we're traveling to 6 African countries this year. So, there's so many different ways that you can support us, and I would love for you to choose one or all of those ways.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And Sharice, I know you started this magazine online, and you want to tell us about it and tell us how we can also support music leaders.
Sure. I purchased musicmarketingmagazine.com earlier this year, and we love it. I would say anyone that's watching, even if you're not a musician, I can tell you, as someone who grew up in music and still is fortunate to work in music and gets to be a mentor for Grammy U and the work at the Recording Academy. There are so many aspects of music. Like I said before, working at Coca-Cola, I was leading campaigns like for American Music Awards and all of that. So I think even if you're an executive at a company or you're a small business owner or an actor, just a few weeks ago, we were doing a music video. There were actors all over the place. There was a director. So if you're a screenwriter, scriptwriter, producer, we at Music Marketing Magazine are all about pushing and supporting and celebrating positive and uplifting creators who touch music, and that's really every creator. And then I would be remiss if I didn't shout out the latest and greatest from Anthony's world. And Anthony Hamilton is launching, he's really excited about launching a hat line. Everyone knows that he's like always wearing his hats. And so he has a Francis Gray and Anthony Hamilton legacy collection launching. There's going to be an event at Nordstrom's on Saturday, March 4th. And so there's a lot going on over there as well. So maybe we can, yeah, so there's that. Check that out.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, thank you both for helping us ride out Black History Month and talk about our future, the Black future. And also, I definitely want to make sure that either we get together or we do a not too long update and maybe some thoughts around Women's History Month, because both of you are women that I strongly believe are market leaders, but also at the same time, you're very grounded, you're very real, and very committed to our community, which is sometimes it's hard to find women like you for other women to find you. So I want to always promote the people in my circle that I feel are people that people should know and they should support, but also just, iron sharpening iron, so to speak. And it's just, it's been a kind of a quiet Black History Month, uncharacteristically. And I think that's because a lot of people are tired, and we've lived through a pandemic for the past 2 years, and we need to recharge, rest, and stuff like that. But more importantly, we need to know who our resources are and who we need to support. So hopefully we can revisit this for Women's History Month in some form or fashion, and maybe give some tips or, some things you guys might want to focus on, because I think, again, your models, both of your models, business models, the way you lead your lives, the way you show up in the community, is something that we need to highlight. So thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
I really appreciate it.
Miss Vicky is saying that she's your sword, Gina.
Hey. Yes, Vicky Stevens out in Cali. Yeah. We're coming to Oakland, Vicky. I'm gonna be in touch.
Hey, Soror.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure everybody it was just the AKA crew here, but I knew it. I felt it in my bones. But anyway, thank you both,
Martin, for having us.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.